On June 15th, 2025, I departed for Panama City from Pittsburgh to Newark to Panama City. I had a good seat, had an upgrade to Panama City. It was very nice, and it is about a 5-hour flight. And I checked into the Rio Hotel, got my bracelet for the week, my credential, and you can see here how beautiful the view is from my balcony to look out into the ocean and the resort below. There are like 4 swimming pools and a beautiful beach. This is my driver, Luis, who brought me from Panama City. He'll take me back. We went shopping for food in this big grocery store and bought these items for 6 families to begin our ministry in our first location. This is Edwin sitting in the back. He's my translator, good brother. This is Radamet, our driver and pastor missionary in the mountains. We went way up into the hills, and that's Brother Ephraim, my longtime friend and pastor here. Here is, again, the sight from the mountains. You can actually see the ocean in the distance in those beautiful hills. We went up very steep hills, up high, and the roads were also rough and windy. You can see we had to cross a little stream here. It wasn't too swollen, but this is what you end up with, having to have a 4-wheel drive vehicle to take you on these roads. They get very bad. It's a tropical paradise here in the hills in Panama. At this time of year, everything is green in the rainy season. We had difficult roads, but we didn't have really any trouble getting into the area. And here you can see my 3 friends all together there. We had a chlorine generator training that Radamet and Ephraim taught the people, and Edwin and I then reassured them that they had responsibilities to take care of the equipment, charge 50 cents a liter for the chlorine to make money, and to reach 300 families. Their water is rainwater that runs off the hills they collect it in a cistern, cement, it's like a spring, and then they pipe it down to their houses. So they're getting sick from the water. We always ask them, are you getting sick from this water? And they say yes. That's why they need the chlorine additive that kills all pathogens known to man in 1 hour once you put the right amount in a 5-gallon bucket. And in Panama, it's almost always 4 capfuls of chlorine from that water bottle. 4 capfuls will bring the chlorine level up to where it will kill everything. The next day, we went shopping in a different store for another 32 families. We bought it in bulk. We went out afterwards to gather up a egg incubator that Philip had left here from these 2 brothers. There were 2 of them. We had to drive a long time to get to both places, and they turned them over to us because they weren't using them properly. They weren't really interested in making the project work. They're eating coconut here. They had coconut to drink and to eat. This is a trap being made to catch shrimp. And there's my brother Edwin back in the back seat with all those bags on this next day, where we went way out on a very bad road and met this family on the road, and they received the Lord right there on the spot, and we gave them a bag of food. Then we continued on to the house where we did the chlorine training with a rather large group of people there. Some of them walked for 1.5 miles, at least half of them walked that far, he said, to be there. This is the brother, it's like the pastor in this area and works with Radamet. And we did the training, challenged them with the gospel, and they were very responsive. And you can see the people here standing and they are responding. I asked them to stand if they wanted to follow Jesus, and the ones who were standing raised their hands as well. Almost everyone received the Lord that was there in that meeting. And I preach a hard gospel to them, so it's not an easy belief thing. These are the ones, 13 of them had received chlorine generators, and then 17 received bags of food. There were 17 families there. We were thankful that we helped 18 families total that day. Correction, they didn't walk a mile and a half, they walked an hour and a half to get there, nearly half of the people. On the final day of our outreaches, we left the hotel and went on about 2 hours from my hotel into the hills again, but not quite as far. But we got on a bad road to reach this particular community. And you definitely have to have a four-wheel drive vehicle or you would never make it on these roads. It was like off-roading the entire place, the entire way. And we got to this place where the people came together to hear our presentation on the chlorine generator because their water was contaminated with some kind of chemical and they were concerned. And we told them we couldn't fix a chemical problem, but we would fix a pathogen problem if they wanted to use rainwater or well water or even river water until they got that tank cleaned out and back to normal. So Radamet and Ephraim taught them about the chlorine generator, and then I shared the priorities of them keeping it and taking care of it and charging money per bottle to make money and to reach 300 families. And they responded well to the training, but when I preached the gospel, they didn't receive the message. No one responded, even though they were polite and not belligerent at all, interested in the water project. They explained that they were Catholics and they were doing things differently, and Radamet followed up and tried to encourage them to believe the word of God instead of the traditions of men. So we gave them one chlorine generator for over 200 families, and then Radamet will come back, follow up, and hopefully win some of these people to become a house church in that community. This is the man who's in charge of the water safety there in the village, and he took the equipment and will reach out to 200 families in that community.